Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Alana, and if you're returning, thank you so much for coming back. In today's video, I'm going to be doing a birth story, and I'm also going to be introducing you guys to my son. He is already 3 months old, so I'm a little late on filming this video, but this is the earliest I've gotten around to film this video. So I'm just going to get right into the video. And I do want to go a little bit into my pregnancy history, just so you guys kind of know the backstory. Once I finish talking about my birth story, I will go ahead and introduce my baby boy. A little backstory on my pregnancy. I was diagnosed with hyperemesis early in my pregnancy. I found out I was pregnant around 5.5 to 6 weeks just because of how sick I was. I had hyperemesis all the way throughout my whole pregnancy, from 5.5 weeks all the way until I gave birth to him. If you guys want a more in-depth video on my hyperemesis and how I handled it and what medications I was on to reduce my nausea and vomiting, just leave a comment down below and I'd love to film that for you guys. And then another little thing about my pregnancy is that I was also diagnosed with a low-lying placenta. Low-lying placenta is where the placenta is so low that it's covering the birth canal. So in order to give birth vaginally, the placenta does have to be out of the way. So I was told that I needed the placenta to move at least 2 millimeters or more in order to give birth vaginally. So at the 20-week mark, my midwives had informed me, don't worry about it, it'll be in the clear. They're basically guaranteeing me. I'm the type of person who doesn't just base things off of words. I need to see like proof that it actually has moved. So at 20 weeks they informed me that I'd be going for another ultrasound to follow up with that. So at 35 weeks is when I went for my next ultrasound to see if it had moved, and the first ultrasound, it only moved about, I think it was 0.5 millimeters, which wasn't enough. So then I had asked them to schedule me again for 37 weeks, hoping that it had moved a little bit more. And then the placenta had only moved 0.8 or 1.8, so it still wasn't enough. And then I had requested, because I was so determined that to see if it would move, I requested another ultrasound at 38 weeks, and that's when I was in the clear that the placenta had moved well over 2 millimeters. So I was in the clear, if I did go into labor, that I'd be able to deliver vaginally, of course, if everything else worked in my favor for vaginal birth. So that's all like my pregnancy history. That's the only things that was going on during my pregnancy. Obviously, hyperemesis is no joke. It was a very serious time, especially in pregnancy when you want to enjoy things. I feel like my pregnancy, especially in the beginning, the first 4 months, I felt like it was really stripped away from me. But like I said, I'm not going to go too much into detail about my hyperemesis journey in this video. This video is specifically for introducing my son and talking specifically about his birth story. So once again, if that's something that you're interested in hearing more about, please leave a comment down below. I'd love to share that with you guys. Or if you have any questions regarding hyperemesis, maybe you're struggling with it right now, I'd be more than happy to help answer some questions for you guys or be of some guidance. So moving into his birth story, this is quite a long one. I do want to mention as well that going into pregnancy, I never had a birth plan. I just kind of was going with the flow, especially coming into pregnancy dealing with hyperemesis. I just never set my mind to anything. I was just like, we're gonna take it one day at a time, and whatever happens happens, and we'll just figure it out as everything occurs. So no birth plan, just went in hoping for the best that I was going to give birth vaginally. So I actually ended up giving birth at 41 weeks 5 days exactly. So at 37 weeks is when they consider you full term, and that's when my midwife had told me, like, hey Lana, you do have a bigger baby than average. We may consider inducing you at 39 weeks. And for me, I was really someone who just wanted to wait and see if baby would come on his own. I didn't want to go into an induction. I really wanted to wait as long as I could, and when he was ready, I was willing to wait and see when he would make his entrance. So it was it ended up coming to me being overdue, and it got to the point where it's like, okay, now maybe we should start talking about induction. So at 41 weeks is when I went to another midwife's appointment, and they're like, hey, you know what, you're 41 weeks now, we don't want to go past 41 plus 2 days. So at that time they said we'll schedule in for an induction, and I just was hoping for the best and that he would make his appearance by then. If not, then I'd have to go in for the induction. I don't have to, but I just really wanted to listen to them because they started to say that it's a potential chance of the higher rate of stillbirth if you go past a certain amount of time. And looking back now, I don't regret my decision of the decisions that I had made. I do want to put that out there, and I do think that you got to do what's best for you. If you're one that vouches for inductions, that's lovely. If you're someone who is totally against inductions, then that's a personal choice, and I believe that each mother deserves to be allowed to make that personal choice for what she feels is best fitted for herself and for her baby. And with that being said, all of my decisions were also discussed with my partner. None of this was just a decision just based off of myself. I do believe that he has just as much say as I do, as this is our baby, not just my baby. So everything was discussed with him. So once I hit 41 weeks 2 days, they scheduled me for the induction, and I was supposed to go in on, it was Monday the 19th, but I had received a call on the Sunday the 18th, and they said, hey Lana, we actually have an open bed. If you wanted to, you can come in today and get started on the induction. And my partner actually wasn't home at the time, so I said, you know what, I'm gonna call my partner and I'll discuss it with him. I already kind of knew in the back of my mind, like, no, I don't really want to go in earlier, because I was already trying to push it as long as I could, because I wanted to see if my baby would come naturally on his own time when he was ready. So in the back of my mind, I'm already thinking, not really, I don't want to, but I'll give my partner a call and see what he thinks. So during that, it was about a 10-minute time, I called my partner. We discussed, no, you know what, we'll save it for the Monday. If anything, we actually wanted to push it till the Tuesday, not the Monday. So during that time, I ended up having to go to the bathroom. So when I had gone to the bathroom that morning, I noticed that I lost some of my mucus plug, and this was completely new to me. I hadn't lost any of my mucus plug up until this point. So that was me in my head. I just felt like that was a strong indication, like, don't go today and don't go tomorrow. So don't go the Sunday, don't go the Monday. I felt like this was a strong sign that my baby is trying to come naturally on his own, just because I had never lost. I know you can lose your mucus plug many times throughout pregnancy and then it will come back, but this was a strong indication to me because this was the first time that it had happened during my pregnancy. And at that point I was already 41 plus, I think, 1 or 2 days. So I was taking that as a sign, like, no, hold off on the induction as long as you can. So when I had called the nurse back, I said, hey, we've actually decided that we don't want to come in today, and we're going to cancel the induction for Monday. If anything, we'll reschedule for the Tuesday if he's not here by then, because I just lost some of my mucus plug, and I really do believe that this is a sign that he's trying to make his appearance on his own. So I want to see it, I want to give it some time to see if I can go into labor naturally on my own. So that's exactly what we did, is that I canceled the appointment for the Sunday, or I didn't go to the Sunday appointment, didn't go to the Monday appointment, and then we were scheduled in for the Tuesday. But little did I know that I started to lose even more of my mucus plug the following morning on the Monday, which is the day that I was originally supposed to go in for the induction. And so that Monday I lost more of my placenta, and I was starting to get some contractions, and these were feeling like not Braxton Hicks, like real contractions. They weren't anything like that I couldn't handle or tolerate. They weren't too strong. Oh, and I do want to mention that on the Monday they did say, like, sorry, on the Sunday they said, if you're not going to come in for the induction on Monday, we still need you to come in for an NST test and possibly another ultrasound just to check on the baby. And I was more than willing to do that. I just, obviously I want to make sure that my baby's safe and sound while he's still in there. So I was completely okay with that. So on the Monday I did go in for the NST test, and it was confirmed that I was having some minor contractions. And so I went for the NST Baby's heart rate was fine. He was doing amazing. I was doing amazing. So they sent me home and said just come back when the contractions start being closer together and stronger. So I went home, and later that evening the contractions started getting very, I felt like they were closer together, but they weren't as close together as I needed them to be, but they were definitely a lot stronger. So I did end up going into the hospital just because I am a first-time mom. I didn't know what to expect, what was normal, abnormal. So I was like, you know what, let's go to the hospital and get it checked out. For some reason, something told me don't bring our hospital bags. I believe we're going to be sent home just because I didn't feel like I was in too much pain with the contractions. It was something I was still tolerating. So I just went and got I went to the hospital, and they just did another NST test, listened to the baby, and then they also gave me a shot, but I don't remember what it was called. They just gave it to the side, like kind of like in the lower half of your body. They just inject it on the side there. So they gave me that, and then that helped with a little bit of like the pain management. It wasn't severe, like I wasn't in a lot of pain, but it was just helping the discomfort really. And then they waited an hour, made sure that the baby's heart rate was still okay and that he wasn't reacting any type of way to the medication. And then they said that I could stay a little longer if I wanted to, but I just said no, you know what, I think I'll go home, and then when things progress I'll come back. So I ended up going home, had contractions throughout the night, nothing too serious. And then Tuesday morning I just remember like things were still losing more mucus plug, and I just remember contractions were really starting to step up in gear, and they're starting to get a little bit more unbearable. Still manageable, but definitely more unbearable. So that's when I had said to my partner, you know what, let's get the bags ready, get everything ready that we're bringing to the hospital, and let's go, because I just knew in my heart that I think this is it, like the baby's going to be here within the next 24 hours. So we ended up packing the car up, went to the hospital. Oh, I do want to mention as well, on the Monday night when I went in, I was 1 centimeter dilated. When I came in on the Tuesday morning, it was around 11 to 12ish a.m. in the morning, and when they checked me again, I was at this point 4 centimeters dilated. The nurse there had called my midwife. She came in and checked me and told me I was 4 centimeters dilated, and that she's actually going to admit me to the hospital now, and that to go take a little break, like go get my stuff, bring it to the hospital. I said, oh, we already have our bags in the car. She said, okay, great, then just go eat something and then come back in about an hour, because then that's when our room would be ready. So we went and ate something and came back, brought all of our hospital stuff with us, and then we ended up coming back to the hospital, and we were still waiting for our labor and delivery room to be ready. So we were just kind of waiting on the side there, and I was still having some stronger contractions, but just breathing through them. And then finally we got into our labor and delivery room, and my midwife got me a really nice room that had a bathtub, so I was able to really just soak in there for a little bit of time and then laid on the bed and whatnot. So I got into the labor and delivery room around, I think it was like 3:30 or 4, maybe between 2 and 4 p.m. So this is later in the afternoon now, and so I was basically having really strong contractions and stuck at a 7 for like hours. The baby was so high up, he was not moving, he wasn't dropping down, he was a face, so he wasn't faced the right direction. And so they ended up deciding, you know what, we're gonna break your water, because I wasn't really dilating anymore. Or they thought that that would help bring on labor a little bit faster, but it didn't end up working for me, because I ended up having to get oxytocin, which is basically the induction at that point. And so when I had started oxytocin and he wasn't dilating fast enough, they were basically telling us like, we can keep trying and just kind of waiting it out. And I just wanted to wait it out and see if I can give birth naturally. I was just really hoping for that. It wasn't in my birth plan, obviously, because I just didn't have one, but I had high hopes that I could have a vaginal birth, so I was kind of just waiting out as long as possible. But they did say that, like, if for whatever reason, if he doesn't dilate any longer, then like eventually we may have to consider a C-section. And when they gave me the oxytocin, I was on that basically, I think from like 11 at night all the way until 6 in the morning. And obviously they're trying to still get me dilated. They broke my water earlier on in the evening there throughout the night, and then I just he wasn't dropping any lower, and he was still sitting at a solid like 7. So they had me on oxytocin, and at 6:15 a.m. When they were monitoring me, they had me going in all different directions with the peanut ball, trying to help like get him to drop a little lower and switch positions. So while I'm trying to do all that stuff, whenever I went on my right side and I turned on my right side and they put the peanut ball in between my legs to try and help switch his position, he just really didn't like that position. And at 6:15 a.m. on the Wednesday morning, my nurse had caught that my baby's heart rate was dropping. It's still so hard for me to talk about, even 3 months postpartum. I'm going to try to remain calm and just hold back the tears, but I have filmed this video a few times and I've just had to disregard it because it's hard to talk about still to this day. So just bear with me. I'm sorry if I cry a little bit. So at 6:15 a.m. I was on my right side, and I remember my nurse just saying hands and knees like so quickly, and I remember looking over at the monitor that shows his heart rate, and I just remember seeing it drop in so quickly, like faster than you can even blink. And it was 6:15 in the morning, so it was very early, and I was still kind of sleeping up, and so my partner, he was in the bed that they give them, the little couch bed, and he kind of fell asleep at this point because at 6 a.m. we've been up all night laboring. And I just remember, well, I'm in the middle of getting on my hands and knees and just hysterically crying, trying to calm myself down, feeling so scared and worried, and just the unknown. You don't know, and it's the scariest thing ever when your unborn child's heart rate is dropping and you just feel like you have no power. You want to protect your baby and you feel like you just can't do that in that moment. And so I just remember, while I'm getting on my hands and knees to try and get his heart rate back up, I just remember looking over at my partner, and he's kind of sleeping. He can't really hear what's going on because it's just happening so quickly. The nurse isn't really yelling. She just clicked a button to call in all the other nurses, and they all came swarming in. And so as they're swarming in, I'm trying to get my partner's attention, and I call, and I'm like, Dallas, and my voice is cracking. I can barely even find the words to call his name just because I'm so choked up, I'm so upset. And so he finally sees, he knows right away in my voice that something's wrong, and he's just kind of like still half asleep, but knows that something is seriously wrong because of how I'm acting. And so they're all trying to calm me down. They said, it's okay, Lana, it's okay. So his heart rate started to get like back up, but I was just so devastated of what just happened, and I was just so like traumatized that I knew I needed to calm down, because I knew that me being how I was no good for him, and I just knew that I needed to breathe through this. I needed to calm down, and I knew that everything is okay. As soon as his heart rate started to go up, I was slowly, like, I don't do good in stressful situations to begin with, and especially when it's my baby, my unborn baby, who I just want to meet so desperately. It was the most traumatizing thing ever, and I don't wish this upon anyone to go through that. I'll never forget that moment of the fear I felt as a mother. So once that happened, I do want to mention as well, I forgot to mention that previously to that all happening, I was told that with oxytocin, you don't want to be on it for an extended amount of time because it that's why they watch you so closely, because you don't know how the baby's really gonna react. So they monitored me around the clock, like literally from the moment I arrived into the labor and delivery room. I had a nurse and she was with us all night long, and that nurse literally is a hero in my eyes. She saved my baby, and I do believe that, because if it was any of the other nurses that we had that kind of filled in for her throughout the night, just for her to take her breaks or to have her little sleep for the hour, I don't believe that they would have caught it like she had, and I really don't know the outcome. I just do believe that the nurse we had was absolutely amazing. She caught it so quickly. She was phenomenal, and I'm forever grateful for that nurse. So at 6:15, when his heart rate dropped and I had experienced that traumatizing experience, I remember I was hysterically crying, and I said, that's it, that's enough. And I do want to mention that my nurse cut the oxytocin line immediately. As soon as his heart rate dropped, she was on top of it. And that's what I mean about her being such an amazing nurse, is that she knew exactly what to do in the moment. She remained calm, she did what she needed to do, and I do believe that she saved my baby. She really did, and she was just phenomenal. So when that had happened, I told them right away. I said, no, that's it, enough. I'm like, I don't want to risk anymore. I don't want to proceed with oxytocin. I don't want to continue this. And that's when they agreed. And as we're in the works of talking about getting me into the C-section, his heart rate started dropping again. It was about 5 minutes later, and that's when they scheduled me for an emergency C-section. I had to get all the papers and that signed. We did that all so quickly. Everything was happening so quickly. I knew right in this moment I'm gonna be meeting my baby like any minute now. And the surgeon was gonna do the C-section. He came in and he said, let's meet this baby, and I knew that my baby's gonna be safe and he'll be here with us within literally minutes. So I signed the papers of just like all the C-section stuff, and then remember they rolled me down into the OR room, and during that time they had to unplug his heart monitor, like that monitors his heart rate and stuff. And so I was extremely worried during that ride down to the OR room. Felt like forever. It was like probably a 3-minute little like ride on the bed to get to the OR from my room, but it just felt like forever. And I remember when I got to the OR, they weren't quite ready to take me into the OR room, so they placed me over on this side. And I just remember telling them, can you please plug that back in, like I want to make sure that he's doing okay. So they plugged it back in, and then we were getting, my partner was getting all of the dressing on so that he can come in the room with me. They took me in the room a couple minutes before, prepped me, got the little shield up, and then I just remember being very drugged up from the medication. I did get an epidural as well earlier on in the night before they broke my water, which was really amazing. It was an amazing experience with that. The epidural was literally like nothing. It was easy peasy. I know everyone's experience for the epidural is totally different, but I had a really good experience with the epidural, and I do feel like it really is a lifesaver. It helps a lot with the contractions especially, and so I just remember going into the OR room, and I just couldn't wait. It was the C-section was very weird. You don't really feel you don't feel any pain, but you feel a lot of like tugging and pushing especially. And then I just remember seeing my baby. The doctor held him up right over the thing, and then they went and cleaned him off, and then they actually gave him to his dad to hold first. Rolling me into that room, I just remember my baby and his dad just sitting there, and it was a moment that I'll never forget. It was such a special moment, and I just, yeah, it was a very hard time, but it was such a beautiful time at the same time, and I would do it all over again in a heartbeat. Obviously when you see your baby for the first time, nothing beats that moment. That's kind of my birth story. It's a little bit, his heart rate dropping is definitely traumatizing, but I just try and really look at the most beautiful part about it all, is seeing his little face for the first time and holding him, and just seeing him earthside, I just knew that he was safe as long as he was with us. So I was so happy when I finally got to go in and have the C-section and just bring him earthside, because him being inside of me and feeling like I just couldn't do anything if something were to happen again is the most devastating feeling as a mom. And I was just happy when the doctor came in and said, let's meet this baby. And to the little boy who stole our hearts from the moment we laid eyes on him, here is my son. His name is Xavier Ocean Sedaris. He was born on May 22nd at 8:13 a.m. He weighed 9 pounds and 8 ounces. He was a really big baby, and he was 21.25 inches long at birth. He's now 3 months, and he's weighing 13 pounds 4 ounces. He's growing each and every day. It's so true when they say that time flies by and they just really grow before your eyes. So he's a little sleepy right now, but he's the most precious gift that I've ever received in my life, and I'm so blessed to be his mommy. Say hi to the camera, honey. Say hi. The most beautiful baby boy. Mama loves you so much, honey. My sweet little angel. And if you guys want a little video on how we came about his name, I would love to film a video for that as well. We have had his name, we've had a boy's name ready for many years, so I would love to tell you guys a little story about that and whatnot. And also the year that he was born is quite special, so if you guys want a video on his name and how the timing of me being pregnant with him all worked out in such a like meant to be manner, then leave a comment down below and I'd love to film that video for you guys as well. This concludes today's video, guys. I hope that you enjoyed it. I hope that it didn't scare any of you first time moms. I really am just on here to share my story, and I also just want to document it for myself. But yeah, I know that a lot of you have probably awaited to see my baby boy. I have already introduced him on my Instagram. If you want to follow me, my account is Sassy Girl Adventures on Instagram. If you want to stay up to date with me on there, feel free to give me a follow. Otherwise, don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you'd like to see more motherhood vlogs and lifestyle content. I also do beauty as well. So yeah, stick around, hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.